All right, welcome back to Simply Bitcoin, the channel that breaks down all the daily Bitcoin news from Twitter to the daily fail, the meme review, and the software releases. You know the drill. Drop us a like and subscribe. Let's kick it off with the numbers. Here we go.
Block Moody Dashboard.
We're currently at a block height of 658,671. Current Bitcoin price, 18,770. Chain rewrite days, 595, and total lightning capacity, bump up, 1,055.28 BTC. Pretty healthy.
Pretty healthy. I like the consolidation, but not going to lie, Satoshi didn't come out of his chicken coop today because the price of Bitcoin is not as high as yesterday's recording. Not that that matters. Phil, it's time for
the daily fail. The daily fail today, though, is somebody who is not stacking. And here we go. It's this dude over here that I was I was introduced to today. Not obviously in real life, but in Twitter. And apparently, he's a professor, which is very scary. Okay, so there's a bit of a story here. So this is 9 hours ago today. James J. Angel said Bitcoin is the new Netscape, a great technical advance that will likely be superseded by other products, leading to big losses for those who get caught up in the bubble frenzy. The cryptos that pay off in the long run will be the ones that provide real utility and cash flow.
Wait, Phil, could we sidetrack for a little bit? What could you go click over his name? I want to see what he does.
Yeah, this is even worse. But this was, you know, this is part of going to be part of the second tweet I was going to show. But he's a Georgetown professor specializing in financial market structure and fintech. So let that sink in for a second. Okay, so he said this, okay? But 7 years ago, he said something else. 7 years ago, he said this. He'll be appearing on CNN International Business at 9:35 to discuss the Bitcoin bubble. So imagine this person is educating people in finance, which, don't get me wrong, lots of them, you know, like nobody, you know, they don't believe in Bitcoin until they do. But he's been wrong already for 7 years. He's watched 7 years of news, 7 years of information, and he came on today onto Twitter and compared Bitcoin to Netscape. Now, if that's not disappearing into your own ass, I don't know what is. But that is just horribly sad. I mean, like, no research at all, and you're supposed to be a professor. Like, you're somebody who's supposed to be like inspiring and instructing people.
Dude, I think that there's a lot of people that, and you see this with Nuriel as well, right? That if Bitcoin succeeds, it's really the biggest shakeup to the financial world since the invention of banking, bro. So by the Medicis in the Renaissance era, right? Like, I don't think a lot of people could take that pill. Because imagine, Phil, you spend your whole life studying, you know, finance and the Federal Reserve and all their debauchery and trying to understand that system, and all of a sudden Bitcoin comes along, and it just puts all of that on its ass. And I feel like after a certain age, you just don't accept things as you normally would as a younger person.
But I also think that we shouldn't give any, we shouldn't give any credit to somebody like this saying that, you know, they've tried to figure out the current financial system. I don't believe that at all, because if any of these people actually tried to figure out the current financial system, they would be standing there with stakes, you know what I mean? And with pitchforks. Let's be honest, right? Because anybody who really does end up figuring out the current financial system becomes enraged. Because there's nothing worse than finding out that your time is being completely wasted.
I think that if you work at one of these universities, right, there's a reason I dropped out of school, man. Like, people like him, you know, he's a teacher of finance at Georgetown, right? It's an amazing university, supposedly. And dude, like, that's his takes, man. So you can imagine what this guy's in the classroom.
Oh, for sure. This guy's telling everybody how to be a good Keynesian. He's teaching everybody. Who knows? Maybe he's even saying deficits don't matter.
Yeah,
I'm sure he's singing whatever tune he's paid to.
100%, 100%. Phil, it's time for
the daily meme review.
All right, guys. So the Daily Meme is brought to us by the Crypto Dog. Let's check it out. It's brought to us by CBS This Morning. Let's check it out.
Scientists were able to mimic Nessie Amun's voice by recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
Bitcoin.
Okay. That was good. That was good. Short and sweet. Phil, are you ready?
I am going with a 9.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I liked it.
High.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to be confident. 7.9.
7.9, huh? Okay. So tell me why. Why did you go with the 7.9?
It was funny, which is why I gave it almost an 8. But it wasn't as informative as like the other memes just require so much like artsmanship and like you just have to be they're so interesting. Like you could tell that people put a lot of work into them, and this one was just so like it was a perfect delivery, but it was too plain for me. That's why I gave it 7.9.
Cool. I liked it really because it was short and it was completely unexpected. I really wasn't expecting that. So
yeah. When you sent it to me the first time, I probably would have given it a higher score. I thought you were sending me like some mummy stuff, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool."
What I thought I was clicking on. I'm like, "Oh, what did they find?" So that's kind of also another reason why I gave it such a high mark, was because I found it so clever. It was just unexpected, and then it was, anyways.
It had a perfect delivery. It was perfect. It just catches you off guard. All right, Phil, it's time for
the Daily News, sponsored by
Crypto Cloaks. Okay, all right. So the news for today. This isn't observation. Yeah. This isn't really news. You guys could take this as you wish. But check out the Google Trends. Right, we're at 20K, mind you. Right, not that matters. This is 2017 all-time high. Google Trends were going absolutely wild. Check out the Google Trends today.
Yep,
nothing compared to that. Mind you, even though Bitcoin's at 20K, we did make an all-time high for the market cap because more Bitcoin has been added to the supply. So that's pretty significant. Bitcoin technically is at an all-time high right now. And the big news for today, I read this article. It really made my blood boil. It's brought to us by the BTC Times. They're a pretty cool website. They have many other Bitcoin news. And let me just read you a quote from this. From now on, we are required to ask additional details such as the purpose with which you intend to purchase Bitcoins and what kind of wallet you use. Furthermore, we are obligated to verify that you're the legitimate owner of the given Bitcoin address by requesting you to upload a screenshot from your wallet or by signing a message. This comes from basically a Dutch Bitcoin exchange called the Bitonic, and this was a request or basically an anti-money laundering restriction placed on them by the Dutch Central Bank. So, guys, we've been talking about this for quite a bit, right? About these increasing, like, totalitarian, whatever that word, like restrictions from central banks and these KYC laws that are absolutely absurd. And Matt Odell has been very on top of this for a while, and he thinks we're heading in that direction where this is just a glimpse of what the future was. And that's why I wanted to bring this up today, because that's the next step, right? That's the next evolution. As more people start to take their money out of the fiat system, these laws are just going to get more draconian in nature, right? Yes. So think about that for a sec. Could you imagine every time you withdraw from Cash App, you having to prove that you are the owner of that Bitcoin address, right? By signing from it, which a lot of people don't know how to do, right? And by proving that it's yours somehow. How do you prove a Bitcoin address is yours, right? Like, it's very weird, very strange. And I think that they're trying to employ basically the old laws onto a new system, and it doesn't work, right? So what are your thoughts on this, Phil?
So essentially, okay, by the person claiming the address and then tying it to their person, right? That's what actually creates the database for them. You know, like when they're telling you, it's like, you know, essentially you following through with that act is what creates the ownership of that address. Like you said, like, how are they going to do it? That's how they're going to do it.
Yeah, but,
you know, it's like you're the owner of that Bitcoin address because you legally said that you were by filing these documents, you know, and that's what's scary, because that's where it gets really strange. It's what you're saying exactly, right? It's the old system being applied to this, which really doesn't work, you know, because, okay, so fine. So you give them an address. Who's to say you're not going to go out and generate a whole other address? Like, I mean, it just seems ridiculous. And it seems almost like, I mean, of course, they're trying to hamper, you know, people and prevent people from, you know, getting into Bitcoin, right? Because that, like you said, you know, it's opting out of their current system and they don't want that. So this is another roadblock put right at the gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm. Could you imagine the Dutch central bank just twirling their mustache? And we're going to require them to register their addresses like bank accounts, you know, okay, let's play devil's advocate, right? Let's what you said, right? Like, it's in a database and now you're the owner of that address. What I would do is, as soon as I withdrew to the registered address, send it to another address and then just post that private key online where everyone could have that address, yep. Right? And it's like, what happens to the system then? You can't do that with the bank account, right? You can't do that with a bank account number. Nope. You can't regenerate bank account numbers that fast, right? Nope. So like, dude, I think that they're just stagnating innovation.
Oh, I 100%. I agree that they're stagnating innovation. It's completely ridiculous, and it really is trying to. You know what? It kind of reminds me of you know, the Bed of Procrustes, the book from Nassim Taleb. Right? Like, you know, it's like you're trying to, you know, what was he trying to do? You know, like if you were too tall, he would cut off your legs. If he was too short, he would stretch you. Like it's essentially what the system is doing, where they're just trying to shoehorn their law, you know, like onto Bitcoin, and just like, okay, here you go. And whatever parts, you know, get destroyed, well, that's it. It got destroyed. We got this piece. And I don't think it's going to work out well for them, because unfortunately I don't believe they're on the right side of history, because of the way that fiat money works, and because of the fact that we have, you know, historical data that, you know, proves that it fails repeatedly. And I think more and more people are finally catching on. So
I agree totally, and it just sounds like that professor from the fail earlier just came up with the regulations for that Dutch exchange. So yeah, man, you could tell it's like these same types of people are just like, yeah, you know, F this, you know, whatever, but they don't know what's coming to them. Phil, there was a software release today. Why don't you tell us about it?
Software releases. Today we are looking at, for the software releases, it looks like we've got BTCPay Server version 1.0.6.0 that was released, and we've got that link down in the show notes.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. Guys, thank you so much for listening to another episode. I hope all of you guys, and happy Thanksgiving from me and Phil. This episode will come out tomorrow. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And I apologize for all the sound effects, my dog barking, my phone ringing, but it's part of the show. And of course, tune in tomorrow for another episode of Simply Bitcoin. And no shit.